What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours. We do have some big topics to discuss. Firstly, Nico Williams saga is just going up and down like a bloody roller coaster at this point. We're still very much on the positive direction. The deal will be completed hopefully before Barcelona begins their preseason next Sunday, July 13th. We were hoping for it to happen today or this weekend, but that seems a bit unlikely, and I'll talk about the turbulence and the twists and turns that have been happening in the Nico Williams saga. Of course, after signing that left winger, we're going to be looking at a fullback, and Denzel Dumfries' name has emerged yet again. There is a secret release clause in his contract, and Barcelona have been monitoring his situation according to Fabrizio Romano. We have two very big updates on exits as well in regards to Inaki Pena and Pablo Torre, who both hope to leave Barcelona before the start of preseason on the 13th. And finally, we do have a big update on Barcelona being on the verge of returning finally to the 1-1 rule, with Javier Tebas and Joel Laporta in constant communication. Before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below, and let's try and get to 200 likes on this video. It would be very much appreciated. And also, if you are new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, following the signing of Nico Williams, hopefully then Barcelona will proceed in the market to reinforce the full-back position. We've been linked with quite a few names this summer so far, Van der Sen, Grimaldo, but a new name has emerged. Well, not a new name, a name that we've been linked with before, but new, strong, and actual concrete interest for this player. That is Denzel Dumfries. Fabrizio Romano has come out saying that Denzel Dumfries has a 25 million euro release clause in his contract at Inter, valid until only mid-July, and that release clause must be paid in one payment. There's no agreement and no room to negotiate for installments. Barcelona have been showing interest in recent months, although no formal bid or official approach has been made. So when he said this, when he tweeted this information, he specifically name dropped Barcelona. Now, of course, Dumfries, you can say whether or not you can be around the bush here, cooked us in the two games in the semifinal. Whether he was, of course, shite in the Club World Cup, shite in the final, but he cooked us in the two games. I think he's a good little player, and maybe he's a bit too advanced to be a natural fullback. He is more so of a wing back. Let's not forget that. Of course, you could say that same argument for Grimaldo, but Grimaldo played most of his career, I would say 90% of it, as a natural left back. Only played left wing back in his 2 years with Bayern Leverkusen, whereas Dumfries is playing right wing back for basically the majority prime of his career, especially when he made that move from PSV to Inter. Even at PSV, I think in his final year was playing mainly as a wing back. But for that price, it is quite cheap for a player like him. And again, another release clause that we have to deal with. I think we're on pace now for all of our signings this summer to be release clauses. Nico, Joel Garcia, and we've been linked now with Dumfries and Grimaldo, who both have release clauses. But again, only valid to mid-July. We still don't have Nico Williams done. I don't think Barcelona are going to move on this whatsoever, especially already paying release clauses for Joel Garcia all up front. Nico Williams most likely all up front. This one again is all up front. You cannot do installment payments or anything like that. So maybe, for example, with Grimaldo, you can pay a bit more and have it installments. I'm sure Bayern Leverkusen would suffice to that, but I think this timing isn't best for Barcelona. I think once we get the Nico Williams deal done, we're gonna of course focus on some sales as well, and then maybe go for a fullback. I think by then his release clause will expire, but a good little option. I don't think it's cheap and suitable enough for me to say, yep, go for it, get Nico done, or put Nico to the side and go for it. It's not that worth it. I think it's a good player with a good price, but I don't think he's 10 out of 10 suited for Barcelona per se, unless Flick tells me like, yo, this is a great option, which I don't think is the case, and I wouldn't really go for it too much. But we'll see how things do turn out. I think it's very unlikely. I think another team should probably capitalize on this. Again, a player of his quality for this price, they don't come around often in the transfer market. So we'll see how things do turn out. Again, Barcelona are one of the main teams that have shown interest. No contacts to Inter or Dumfries' entourage whatsoever. But again, with the timing of it, I see it personally as a bit complicated. Now, option in which Barcelona were interested in over the past few weeks, but have cooled their interest, is for the Brazilian wonder kid Zé Lucas. We have Joaquim Pereira, #1 source in regards to Brazilian players coming to Barcelona. You can't get much better than this. And he came out saying that Brazilian talent Zé Lucas is not highly rated by the club scouting department, which watched him during the Under-17 South American Championship, despite being offered to several European clubs and attracting a 12.5 bid from Rules, which was rejected. Barcelona is not interested due to his 15 million euro price tag and the surplus of players in the position already in the first team. Deco reportedly informed his club directly that Barcelona won't be making any moves for him, even though Barca covered part of the travel expenses of the player's entourage to Barcelona. So taking a bit of a hit there in terms of financials, but in the end, we have not approached and proceeded with the Z Lucas operation. And in the club thing this way, it is what it is. And I do agree with the one part where there is a surplus in his position. Again, you have Casado, you have Bernal, you have Gavi, you have Pedri, you have De Jong, all already fighting for the pivot position. So there's gonna be, despite his young age, there's gonna be little to no room to growth for him anyways. I think we're pretty well compacted in that position. Like I mentioned to you guys back in the middle of last season, I would not touch our midfield whatsoever. I think it's a midfield that is fully compact, perfectly well suited, great coverage and depth, and perfectly balanced as well. Unless someone leaves, I would not touch that midfield, and I can see why the club have approached it this way. So we'll see how things turn out for the future, but for the imminent future, Barcelona will now be proceeding with the Z Lucas operation. Let's now discuss the players that have been rumored to be leaving Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First up is Pablo Torre. Again, we've been hearing over the past few days there's a lot of suitors for him on the table, just now identifying the right club and for that club to agree fee and conditions with Barcelona. And Mateo Morito is reporting that Pablo Torre has been convinced and he has chosen to join Real Mallorca as his new team, and now Barcelona must negotiate the final details of the operation, which probably means at this point now that Pablo Torre has agreed personal terms with Real Mallorca. So good move for him staying in Spain. I just want to highlight one thing. First game of La Liga is Barcelona away from home against Mallorca. This is just tailor-made for Pablo Torre to cook us. Again, we can't really put a fear clause, but maybe just prolong the deal enough for some. I don't know. We kind of need the Pablo Torre sale now to open up and free some space for FFP. So I would go ahead and proceed with it, but just the first game of the La Liga season being against Mallorca doesn't sit well with me. I'll try to maybe have him not play the game, even though it's probably not possible, but I'd give it my best. But I just want to highlight that fact that that is probably the only concern, not even the concern, just a minor kink that I have about this deal. But again, if we get a good evaluation for him, 5 to 6 million euro fee, having still 50% of his right, a buyback option as well, it's a fantastic sale for Barcelona and a great move for Pablo Torre as well. Under Jose Arrasate, one of the best managers in La Liga, under a great team in Mallorca too. So we'll see how things do play out, but Pablo Torre wants to move to Mallorca, just now down to the two clubs to negotiate the conditions. Another sale that Barcelona are pushing for in the next few days and weeks is the sale and departure of Inaki Pena. Luis Rojo of Marca came out saying that Inaki Pena will leave Barcelona. He's planning to move abroad with multiple offers on the table and aims to finalize everything before Barcelona's training resumes next Sunday, July 13th. Although he has 1 year left on his contract and must report if a transfer isn't completed, he wants to join his new club training from day one. His departure is expected to accelerate soon, though the transfer fee remains unclear, and Barcelona's 4-goalkeeper situation limits the club's negotiation leverage. Pretty much means we're probably gonna get next to nothing for Inaki, which again, he's not really worth it. He's not that great. If we can get this W for the 13th, that'd be sensational. I don't think we will. I think this will drag on probably until we leave for preseason. I can see Inaki Pena staying to sort out his future. If we can get it done before then, though, fantastic. It's a bit weird with Inaki. We're hearing that he wants to stay in Spain, then not staying in Spain, then no staying in Spain, then staying in Spain. So that's been a very, very back and forth and not been super clear. But what's clear is that he wants to leave and Barcelona do want to facilitate his exit. So wait and see what club he decides on, what the conditions are between the two teams as well. But Inaki is expected to leave, hopefully at some point this month for sure. Now, in regards to players staying, there are two players that do have offers on the table, but Hansi has been adamant that he wants them to continue at the club, and those two players are Fermin Lopez and Eric Garcia. Franco Sport came out saying that Flick has made it absolutely clear with the sporting department that Fermin Lopez and Eric Garcia are not to leave Barcelona. He does not want to entertain any offers for them as well, and Flick has backed Eric Garcia's renewal to be done ASAP. So again, Fermin's already locked in on a pretty long-term deal. Eric Garcia only has 1 year left on his contract. Flick is adamant for both of them to stay. I think they're two fantastic squad players as well. I think they can both have the ability to become starters at this team as well. Maybe not Fermin as much because there's so much quality ahead of him, but Eric Garcia, he's only competed with one player, and that is Cody at right back. And again, at that point, you're calling it a 50-50. Not in terms of quality, but in terms of, only fighting one person for one position. But keeping these two players for me is absolutely confirmed in my opinion as well. I think they're two fantastic players at the highest level. You saw how big they came up in key moments last season as well, especially in that last 2 months of the, deciding moment of the season. And Flick confirming with the club, he does not want either of these two players to leave. We've already rejected a few offers for Fermin Lopez this summer. Eric Garcia has been approached this summer, and of course a few bids came in for him in January. So these are two players that have interest, have a market, but Flick has been very, very clear that these two players must continue at Barcelona next season, and hopefully the club do oblige with that. Let's now discuss some of the news starting Barcelona over the past 48 hours. Firstly, in regards to Andreas Christensen officially returning early from his vacation and training at the Ciutat Esportiva Joan Gamper Training Center. Mundo Deportivo firstly broke the news saying that Andreas Christensen, who has cut his vacation short, completed his first solo training session yesterday. His goal is to be at 100% fitness for July 13th to earn a place in the team after a very difficult previous season. Marc Bernal, Daniel Rodriguez, and Ibrahima Diarra have been going to training center as well. Ron Araujo may return early as well. It was also confirmed by Alex Bentel from Raccoon that Christian did in fact train yesterday morning. So he's back. We're hearing some of the B team players. I'm quite surprised that Rodriguez is there, even though he still has a dislocated shoulder. He's probably just there for rehabilitation purposes, not supposed to be fully fit for preseason whatsoever. Bernal coming back is huge. Hopefully he can travel. His main goal is probably going to be to travel with the team to Asia. Maybe not play, but at least train there, do some partial training sessions. Ibrahim Diarra is going to have a great opportunity in preseason as well. We don't really have too many wingers right now. Of course, Nico Williams is on standby. Lamine Yamal, of course, has abundance of minutes. He could be making a push for being that fourth winger, like I talked about in the last few videos. It's kind of up to him, Daniel Rodriguez, maybe Tony Fernandez to put, a case for themselves to prevent us going for another winger like a Rashford or something like that. But Christian is back. I'm hoping that he gets his chance, because I think, again, on his day, on his peak, he starts for this team. And let's see how things develop in regards to his future. Now, as we are approaching the start of the new season, more specifically pre-season, the official home kit has been confirmed by the club, and you can see it there on the screen right now. To be honest, much better than those first initial designs that we saw in September and October time. I think it's a good kit, looking like a solid 7, maybe even an 8 out of 10. If it was like it's a bit bright, and it reminds me a lot of the worst kit I've seen in my life, that 21-22 kit the first season after Messi. Thank God, alhamdulillah, we didn't see Messi in that kit. Reminds me of that kit in terms of its brightness. If this was a little bit darker, I think this could have been a really solid kit, but I think it's still pretty good. It's doing record numbers in terms of sales. Again, we're gonna see Lamine Yamal in the number 10 in this jersey just before we do start preseason. That Saturday before preseason begins, the 12th, we're expecting his official contract signing, posts and pictures, and the announcement of him in the 10 as well. The second kit, the gold one with the Kobe Bryant collaboration, will be coming out during the preseason tour, so we're expecting that to be end of July, kind of vibes. But this one having some record sales and record numbers as well, so we'll see how things do turn out in terms of productivity, but a solid kit nonetheless, with of course a few more kits to come. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss for an end of this video is in regards to Barcelona's return to the 1-1 rule. As we all know, we are on the verge of completing that operation. Like I mentioned in the last video, we are only 8 million away from that achievement, and that 8 million should be relatively simple to achieve. Franco Rasen Sport came out saying that Javier Tebas has already confirmed to Barcelona's president Joan Laporta that the club will be able to operate under the 1-1 financial fair play rule during this summer transfer window, and that will also entail that Barcelona will be able to register both Joan Garcia and Nico Williams as well instantly. He also goes on to say the situation that led to the return of the 1-1 rule summarized that Barcelona closed the 24-25 financial year on June 30th with 950 million in revenue, surpassing the 839 budgeted. Laporta's La Liga president Javier Tebas confirmed the club met the necessary conditions to return to financial normality. A key factor was Crow, the Borsa order, accepting 100 million as income from the sale of rights of 474 VIP seats at the future Spotify Camp Nou for 30 years, has allowed Barcelona to register players players like Dani Olmo and Pau Victor in January, and to return the 1-1 rule spending, enabling the registration of renewals like Gavi, Araujo, and Pedri. However, weeks later, Crow did not validate the 100 million in the mid-season financial report because the VIP seats were not yet built yet, despite 58 million already coming into Barcelona's official accounts. In response, Barcelona's board urged the Turkish construction company Liga to complete the seats before June 30th, which they have done. With the construction completed, the income can now officially be recorded, and the final balance sheets are being audited, and La Liga is expected to confirm Barcelona's return to the transfer market within the next few days. Also, EFE Deportes, which is very highly regarded media outlet in regards to finances around Spanish club, they also confirmed this as well, saying that Barcelona receives confirmation from La Liga that it can operate freely in the transfer market, return to the 1 rule of the financial fair play, will allow Barcelona to register Joan Garcia and unblock as well the Nico Williams operation. And finally, Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona is close to meeting La Liga's 1-1 fair play rule, but hasn't reached it yet due to La Liga's cancellation of the crucial 100 million box seat sale at the Camp Nou, which significantly reduced the club's squad cost limit. Since then, Barcelona has been off the 1-1 path and can only reinvest a limited percentage, 67% of salary savings, 20-35% of sale profits from player exits like Ansu Fati and Lenglet. Until the sale is validated or offsetted, the club remains restricted in the transfer market despite active efforts to reduce its wage bill. So we basically need this 100 million euro validation from the VIPs to be confirmed and validated by La Liga, or else this is where the big sale that Barcelona do need will come into play. But everything seems to be fairly confident. Of course, Franco As and also EFE Deportes are very highly regarded sources in regards to finances around Spain. Mundo Deportivo is saying that it's just not confirmed yet, but it's still on the right track, as it says there is close to meeting the 1-1 fair play rule. We heard, of course, a few days ago just 8 million was needed, just maybe the sale of Pablo Torre and Inaki Pena, renewal of Frankie de Jong, and you're there with ease. So it should be completed. Hopefully Barcelona will do so before the first La Liga game, which is August the 15th, I believe, or 16th. But we can do that now. That way we can register Nico Williams. He can hop off our dicks. That would also be very ideal as well. So we'll see how things do play out. But again, Barcelona are so close to finally returning to the 1-1 rule. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course in the comments down below as well, let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. Main thing I want to firstly, of course, is your thoughts on the Nico Williams saga. You think it will drag out even longer? You think it will happen or not happen? Secondly, on Denzel Dumfries, for that price and for the player profile, would you go for him or not? Thirdly, on the sales of Inaki Pena and Pablo Torre, think they'll be swiftly and also impactful for FFP or not? And finally, thoughts on FFP itself. Think that Barcelona will end up returning to the 1-1 rule or not? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.